So, Cutler, welcome to People of Utah.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, man. So, let's start with where you're from. Are you from Utah originally?
Kind of. I was born here in Utah until the age of 10. My parents moved to Idaho, and then Rexburg, that's where I grew up, and kind of did all high school. So I feel like I'm more from Idaho, even though I've technically spent more of my life in Utah.
Makes sense. Okay. When did you move back to Utah?
It was about maybe 8, 9 months ago. I got off my mission, and then about a year ago, went out, did sales, came home, just starting the semester, so haven't been here too long, but
Cool. Yeah, that's sick. From what I understand, Idaho is a lot like Utah, would you say?
yeah, it's like Utah, but just a couple of years delayed. Like all the fashions, the trends, the everything is just a little bit delayed and a little bit back, but no, it's
Delayed how? Are they just getting Stanley Cups or like what do you mean?
like you could probably say that. I feel like the trends is probably mostly what it is. Like Idaho just kind of mimics Utah, but just with a little bit of a feedback delay. You know what I'm saying?
That's so funny. Okay. Why they went to Idaho? Was it for like a farm or like what?
My dad was a seminary teacher, and he got a job at BYUI teaching religion. And so we all moved there, and that's kind of why we stayed. And
So you're at BYU Provo now. Why didn't you go to BYU Idaho where your dad was?
it is the last place I wanted to be at
Yeah.
because I don't know, just staying in the town that I grew up in, like especially after getting off the mission, I felt like I changed so much, and then just going back into that same kind of area, the same vibe. I don't know. I just didn't. I just kind of wanted to get away from the hometown.
I can appreciate that. So you're saying like the person you are before versus after your mission is so different. So you kind of wanted to be away from that area where you were before your
Yeah,
identity.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
interesting, bro. That's way cool. I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I came across you from LinkedIn. I understand you're kind of like a rising influencer on there.
I don't know about that, but
No,
try to happening. Try to post consistently.
it's happening, bro. So when did you get into LinkedIn? Why is that a big goal of yours? Tell me about that.
So I got into LinkedIn pretty recently, to be honest. I really am just I'm still very, very new to it, but mainly because my biggest goal right now is to just start a company, build it up to as big as I can. And then when I am at that point, just to be able to have as much influence as I can to give back. Like I guarantee some point in the future, I'm going to write a book or start like something. I just want to find the biggest way to give back to entrepreneurs that are in my spot, because that's kind of what the route I'm trying to go down. And there's been so many different people that have helped me in my position, like mentors, people that I'm like, hey, like, what would you hear that have helped me so much? And that's kind of the main goal I want to do. And so I think the bigger the influence I have, the more I'll be able to do that. And I think LinkedIn is a big way to go about that, and just connecting with people, building my personal brand to then be able to reach other people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, well said. I feel like most people our age care a lot more about Instagram and about Snapchat, whatever else. I wish I would have known about LinkedIn earlier and stuff. So that's way cool that you're on the LinkedIn grinds.
No, yeah, it's been awesome. And there's already been like a couple relationships that I've people that I've met just from like, hey, like I liked your comment. I'm like, dude, that's cool. Like, let's meet up for lunch, and we like meet another person. So it's already brought some pretty cool
The
things.
networking, that's awesome,
Yeah.
man. Who are some of like the coolest people you've met, you think?
Um,
Met, or I could say like, I don't know, been in DM conversations with, because I'm sure like the higher level people are kind of
yeah.
not down to meet with lunch all the time. So
Yeah, I haven't actively gone out and messaged a ton of people, but I don't know if you've heard of Sales Dojo.
oh yeah, Jaron Erickson.
Jaron Erickson.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I messaged him. I was like, dude, like I absolutely love what you're doing. Like I would love for you I'd love to meet up, learn from you. Didn't reply.
Come
So
on, Jaron.
a couple of days later, I was like, dude, come on. Like I just kept following up.
Yeah.
And then it was like 4 times or something. And he was like, dude, like, let's do it. And then he canceled. And then I texted him again. He's like, dude, your follow-up game is insane. Like, let's meet Tuesday.
Heck
So
yeah.
I was like, let's go, dude. So
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's crazy. A four. 4 DMs without a response, and you're still like, come on, bro.
No, the following up is even people that send me ads and stuff. I'm like, oh, definitely not looking at that.
Yeah.
After 6 times, I'm like, just out of respect for this guy, like I'm gonna read what he's saying. You know what I mean?
That's so funny you say that, dude. This reminded me of a story. One time I was in Ecuador with my wife on like a humanitarian trip. There's a massive street market. Some guy selling belts, just walking around selling belts. And he's like, hey, bro, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, I'm not interested next, bro. I'm like, maybe like 30 minutes later, I bump into him again. He's like, hey, bro, like, tell you what, I got a better deal for you. Blah, 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 this belt. I'm like, no, I'm good. Yeah. Third time I bump into him, I was like, hey, come here, come here. He's like, I'll cut you a deal. You can't tell anybody. I was like, dude, I'll buy your belt. Like, man, I respect this, dude. Like, this is 3 times I bumped into you. Like, let's do it. You know what I mean? So saying, I think it's respectable, dude, to follow game. So
Yeah, like it seems kind of annoying, like that persistence of just following up, following up, following up, following up. Like they kind of stop and really like think about what you're doing, and I feel like the odds of whatever you're asking go by a significant amount.
yeah, and some people don't appreciate it, dude. Some people, for whatever reason, like will never give the time of day. But it's cool. I feel like yeah, people who are I don't know more emotionally intelligent will respect the fact that you're following up so much. Yeah, so that's cool. All right, so tell me about your product or business you've started. It's in early stages.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's all still pretty new, but it's called ErgoCrest, and so we basically make a sleeping pad for people with back pain. And it all started with this physical therapist, and because I'm not smart enough to come up with anything like that, but this physical therapist, he came up with this sleeping pad because he had back pain forever, suffered with it, made it, he used it, and was like, wow. First 4 nights that he had actually slept camping and like could actually sleep, his back didn't hurt. So he took it to his PT clients. They loved it. He's like, dude, I'm an old man. Like, I don't want to go through this whole startup grind. And so he went to Corbin Church. I don't know,
Never heard of that.
have you heard of like iHub or?
No, was this some sort of like venture capitalist type of thing?
Kind of. It's a business incubator. And so just for like startups that are trying to get going,
Okay.
they help out, and it's actually been so amazing. They're super, super helpful. He's the founder of that. He came to me after the physical therapist came to him. So that physical therapist went to Corbin, who founded iHub, and was like, hey, like find somebody for me to get this thing going. He came to me and was like, hey, do you want to give me like a couple different things, ideas and products? And I was like, hey, do you want to split equity of this company and kind of do all the work for it?
How did you get in touch with this guy? How are you getting to that?
With Corbin?
Yeah.
So I took an entrepreneurship class in this last fall, and every single class I would like go up, ask questions. He'd always have like extra mentor sessions. I'd always be there. And then he'd always have events at iHub that some people could go to. And I'd go to every single one and just like always like ask him questions, talk to him. And then after a while, he always calls me Cuts. He's like, Cuts, like, you're the only one that shows up to these things, dude. Like, that's awesome. And so just like that persistence, I think he was like just that consistent being there, showing up.
He had you on his mind.
Makes sense. Right. He was like, yeah, like I think this dude could handle it. And so yeah, he brought it to me. He was like, hey, do you want to split equity with this guy, take the company? And I was like, sure. And so that's led to a bunch of different random opportunities and other things that I'm looking at. But no, it's been awesome.
That's awesome, man. Okay. What was it called again? ErgoCrest. ErgoCrest. Okay, cool. So what kind of vision do you have for that? Is it too early to say?
I think we're kind of still testing right now with the product, just validating it. And we have like the website out, you can look it up, but I just want to make it right now. It's kind of transformed into a camping brand. And so
Okay, so people with back pain, it's a good thing that they take camping with them.
right, exactly. And so I just want to get it as big as it can possibly be, and to help as many people that have back pain who otherwise can't camp or can't enjoy the outdoors to be able to do that.
So cool. Never thought of that market. It's really niche, Sweet.
Right.
So tell me, you were from Utah, Idaho, back to Utah. Tell me your favorite thing and your least favorite thing about Utah.
Oh, that's tough. My favorite thing is probably the people.
Okay.
Like, I need so much help doing the startup and just getting everything, so much advice, mentors. And I feel like everyone here, just because of the culture, like are so helpful to be like, hey, dude, like I would totally help you out. Or I text them or I'll like knock on people's doors of founders that have like started companies. I'm like, hey, dude, I'm a BYU student. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Would you be able to help out? He's, oh yeah, like come inside. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's awesome.
And so just being so able to help, probably my favorite thing. And the mountains.
Yes.
Those are cool. Least favorite thing? Oh, that's so tough. Probably maybe probably the parking tickets
Oh yeah, dude.
and the
Especially
ticket in general. Like I'm at 12 right now.
what are you doing? What are you talking about?
Four police tickets in the last year. Maybe that's just
Is this all parking? Are they speeding? Are they?
oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. Four of them just this year. 12 parking tickets. That's a whole nother story. First parking ticket didn't stop all the way at a stop sign. Like nobody there. Like slowed down. Basically stopped. Kept going. Pulled over ticket. Second time, exact same thing. Third time, I'm going 80 on the highway. I'm in this lane on the left. Girl swerves into me, hits my car. My car flips over. What? It's going 80 on the highway. This happened 3 months ago. And I'm skidding upside down, just on the highway. I'm like just waiting to smack something.
Yeah.
For my life to end. And I come to a stop. I'm upside down. I feel like I'm in a movie. Like I'm upside down. I do my seatbelt. And I hit the...
You undo your seatbelt while you're moving still?
No. I'm upside down.
Stop waiting. Okay.
And I'm like, this is crazy. I undo my seatbelt. I fall to like the windshield or whatever.
Yeah.
I get out of my car. Officer comes up to me and was like, hey, you were in the HOV lane without somebody with you. I was like, you are joking right now. Got a third ticket for that reason. And then fourth ticket, just barely. And I was at a stoplight and I needed to get in this lane. So I turn on my blinker and it's green. This guy stops to let me in. I'm like, oh, what a dog. He lets me in, but it's a cop.
Oh, great.
And so it's just setting the strap. I get it. I switch over lanes and turns on his lights. And it's an illegal lane change because it's like the white line instead of the dotted white line.
Yeah.
See, I'm at 4 right now. Insurance through the roof.
I have never heard of anybody getting that many tickets for like traffic things, like the stop signs and lane change, which a lot to unpack with this, bro. Okay. So like the whole stop sign thing, dude, I think that is so inconsequential, and that's what's annoying to me, right? And here's what I always say: like the purpose of a blinker isn't so you know where you're going; it's so other people do, right? So if there's nobody around, who cares about the blinkers? Right? Same thing with the lanes. To me, is the lanes are there so we can have more efficiency, more people can fit in the road. Right? I'm not talking like there's nobody within like 100 yards. I'm talking like you can't see cars anywhere around you. Who cares about the lanes that much? Who cares about the blinkers that much, right?
Right.
So for you to get pulled over, if it's an empty intersection, and I guess there's a cop nearby, was he just like parked waiting for you, or was he behind? I don't know, but
It's ridiculous.
that's what I think is like, I don't know, is does it actually make a difference? Because sure, technically you got to do this, you got to do that, but like the purpose of all these things is traffic control. If there's no traffic, who cares?
Right. That's right. And like there wasn't people for miles, but I don't know. Maybe
That's unlucky.
yeah. I drive a Tesla, and it's kind of like a douchey car. I feel like.
You think you're a target?
So maybe they see that and they're like, "Oh, this douchebag, he's about to get it." You know?
That's exactly it. Dude. That'd be an interesting statistic to see, like the number of tickets given to Teslas and non-Teslas stuff. That's interesting. No, I don't know. So tell me about that car crash though. That sounds like way serious, but that was only a few months ago, and you don't have anything wrong with you. So
Absolutely ridiculous. Like going 80, flipped over, and did you scratch?
you hit your head. You didn't break anything.
Didn't break anything. I didn't have a bruise. I didn't have a scratch. It's totally fine.
I mean, your car totaled. Did the other
Really gone.
Did the other lady like claim fault, and so your insurance covered it, or was it technically your fault still?
Kind of a huge mess I'm going through right now, actually. Lady basically lied and said it made up this crazy story.
Was this with the Tesla?
This is with the Prius I had.
Oh, I was gonna say, because Teslas have cameras and everything.
Yeah, it would have been totally fine. No, this is the Prius before. Kind of the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yes.
But I was sick of getting bullied for that, so I switched over. Um, what was the question? What happened to?
Oh yeah, so car's totaled. Is it?
Oh yeah. And she made up this crazy lie about like how it happened. Insurance said it was my fault. Well, I should back up.
Okay.
So when it first happened, she gave a false insurance to the police officer. So for 3 months, we were like, holy, she doesn't have insurance. And then when we finally did investigating, turns out she did have insurance. And then she made up a claim about how it was my fault. Insurance denied my claim. So I got a lawyer. Now we're like hashing the whole thing out right now. And it's kind of in a mess.
Dude.
And like 5 months, 30 grand out. So
Yeah,
it's up.
I can appreciate that, dude, because I was in a situation like a year or so ago. My wife got in a wreck. She's driving through a green light, and someone turning left tried to like shoot the gap, and she hit him going like 50. Right?
Ooh, that's crazy.
She was fine. Everybody was fine. Um, but what sucked, and luckily he claimed like, yeah, that was my fault, like police, so that wasn't a problem. But dude, the insurance so obnoxious, right? So it's like you pay these monthly premiums forever, and then as soon as you need some, they're like, oh, bro, they try to like put it back on it. And it's also like illegal to not have car insurance, right? But then they suck. So it's just a whole annoying. And
It's so tough.
so my wife like, hey, we've been paying you money forever, and this guy we got in a crash, and this guy was his fault. Here's all the paperwork, and they're like pushing back, like, oh, you should go to his insurance, and his insurance like, no, go to your insurance. Like,
Oh my God.
it took like months. Finally, the insurance company, I think our car was worth like, well, they offer like, yeah, okay, we'll pay you. Here's like, we'll pay you $3,000. We're like, what are you talking about? Three. And so, luckily, we have a broker, and the broker's like, no, you got to find like comparables. So we found like the exact car on KSL, same miles for like 14 grand. Yeah. So we sent it to them like, actually, it's 14 grand. And the company's like, okay, you're right. Here's 14 grand. So like, yeah. So we got our money. It took months. It was so obnoxious. But like, even when we finally got to the point, like, give us money. They're like, okay, fine, but we're only giving you this much. Yeah. We had to like, no, give us this much. So yeah, dude, car insurance, it sucks. And yours is more complicated because it's like whose fault was it, right? Luckily ours on paper was easier, yeah, so that's even a bigger mess. So
No, dude, it is a huge mess. So trying to figure that out, but let's see how it goes.
Lazy, what do you think about driving in Utah compared to Idaho, compared to anywhere else? Is it as bad as everybody says? I think it is. I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know. I don't feel like I notice a huge difference. I mean, where I am from, like there's just not a lot of traffic in general. So coming here, there is more traffic. It's just like seems like it's how it should be. But I don't. It seems pretty normal to me, to be honest.
Okay, good. What would you say is one of Utah's greatest strengths and one of Utah's greatest weaknesses?
I would say the greatest strength, there is, like I said before, is being helpful.
Yeah.
Like so many people are so willing to help. Like maybe that's just because it's like the church community. Like, and if you were to needed to move in another state, that's like not so much church community. Like, what are you gonna do? Here you've got like 8 deacons, 9 priests, just all these people, just so many people willing to help. You know what I mean? I feel like that's a big one. The weakness, maybe being judgmental.
Yeah.
I feel like there is kind of like a culture, like an expectation of how you should be, and I feel like a lot of times people do kind of like look down upon you if you don't like fit that stigma, depending on the person, obviously.
Yeah.
But I feel like that is something kind of common.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Okay, what is your favorite place in Utah to go to or that you've been?
Oh, that's tough. Probably. Yeah, is Lake Powell in Utah?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, oh yeah, down south. I've heard that one. Plenty of times.
If I could go to Europe, if I could go to China, like any of these places, I'm taking a Lake Powell trip with boys.
Okay.
Like that is just the most dopamine ever released place I've ever been to.
Yeah. Partly just like I'm sure you enjoy boating in general, but also like the beauty of Lake Powell. I'm sure the red rocks, all that.
Right. I don't know what it is. I think a big part of it is because there's just zero service. So who, and maybe it's also because I just go with my favorite people in the world, like all my favorite friends, favorite family, and you're just all with each other all the time because there's no phone you can use. Just genuinely connect and having a good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Tell me about one of like the most recent books you've read and some of your biggest takeaways.
That's really good. One of the biggest takeaways. Recently, I read again The Seven Habits. I'm sure you read that.
Steve Covey.
Yeah. And it's like the most basic, like you hear like, oh, what's your favorite book? Like Seven Habits. One of the most basic ones, but like for a reason. Just because it's so, so good. There's just so much value packed into it. I try to read that consistently, like year to year. But I think my favorite part about it is the two ideas of just really having a goal set and just like the discipline to have a goal set and then the discipline to actually like get there. You know what I mean? Like like I feel like that's like the key to life is just having really conscious goals, in my opinion, and then breaking those down into like habits and plans. Like ever since the mission, like every single thing I do, it's like every single day is like planned out. Every week I plan out. It's all based around these goals. And I feel like that wouldn't, like the seven habits really helped me kind of get there because I think one of the quotes in it, it's like, oh, let me look it up for
Yeah,
you.
he was.
Um, One of the quotes, I have all these notes on seven habits. Oh yeah, it's like it talks about like being proactive. Like one of the habits and it talks about how reactive people um they're driven by feelings and emotions. And then proactive people are driven by values, goals, predetermined things. And I feel like that's why I feel like the biggest just hack to life is just having those predetermined values and goals and then making all your decisions based on those because it's so easy to I feel like be to make decisions based off how you feel.
Yeah.
Like if you made decisions just based off of your emotions, everything, then you would get very little done. You know what I mean?
100%.
But I feel like it's so much easier just to say, okay, this is the goal. Have those things planned out. Like this is what I'm doing this week. This is what I'm doing today to get there. I feel like Seven Habits is just so good in detailing how to do all that.
Yeah. You know what that reminds me of is that quote that's, we don't rise to the level of our expectations, we fall to the level of our preparation. And I think it's a lot easier to make a wrong choice in the heat of the pressure of the moment, right?
Exactly.
And so it's by making choices ahead of time and being committed to them, it makes a big difference because again, when you make a big decision in the middle of a big emotional moment, pressure, you're going to make the wrong choice. You're going to fall, right?
Exactly.
Knowing ahead of time the choices you're going to make in certain situations helps a ton, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Because I feel like I personally feel like I'm like a lazy. I would want to just do what's easiest in the moment, and so that's why every single week I plan out. Okay, I'm gonna do this based on these goals I want to achieve. I'm gonna do this, and then I put them for what day. And then when I get to those days at the beginning of every single morning, maybe this is a cringy RM thing to do. I don't know, but I plan, okay, this hour I'm doing this. Put everything in there. So like every single 30 minutes a day, I know exactly what I'm doing. Just so going throughout the day, I don't have to think like, oh, like, do I want to do that? Or like, I don't have to like convince myself it's here it is. That way I can already have
Yeah,
that going. You know what I mean?
there's a lot of mental work in decision making. So if you can do that ahead of time,
Exactly.
that saves you a ton of mental work and energy.
Yeah. I feel like that saved like is so, so helpful for me and makes you not have to go through that mental work.
Yeah. I think I learned a lot of that in sales, actually, door-to-door sales, which I know you did for a while, you said, right?
Yeah.
Where did you sell? What was your experience? I mean, I feel like a lot of guys in Utah have done it or at least know about it. So I think it'd be good to share, at least, as a Utah person, what you think about sales and your experience.
Yeah. I think sales it gets a bad rep. I think it is the best possible thing anyone could do if they are trying to achieve. It's just so helpful in every single way. But that's my take on it. I have a lot to say about that. But I went to Georgia and I sold solar, and I absolutely loved it. Yeah, it was a good time.
It's so fun. There's so much to learn, dude. I learned so much. I did it for a couple of years, and I liked it. I think I liked it a lot better when I was single than when I was married. It's a very different vibe, very different aspect.
I hear like for wives it's hard,
Yeah.
if their life is hard, your life sucks.
Yeah, 100%. And then at the end of the day, it's also priorities. Like, what's tough, dude, is I know a lot of, and it's also, man, I just have so many mixed thoughts and feelings on it, but I would recommend it to anybody. And I think I learned so much. And there's just being outside and talking to people all day, every day is a very great and important thing. But also, persuasion, also just working physically for that many hours. There's so many great things you can do.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys I know in the industry really lose sight when they get big dollar signs, lose sight of what's important. It's just the other day, dude, I saw something. It was just so sad. I shared it with some of my friend. This guy is like multi-millionaire. This guy sells like crazy. He's been doing it for years. He's won a bunch of Golden Door awards and all that. And he posts like, hey, today was my daughter's first birthday. So I went out and dedicated the day to her. And I sold all this stuff and I worked till 9 p.m. And somebody else reposted that, like, wow, like, I really aspire to be like you. You're a beast. And I'm just like, dude, like, he is missing the point that, like, that the boy are making so much money. You could fly home for your kid's birthday and fly back if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And it's like a flex to be like, yeah, that's how hard I work. I'm willing to miss my daughter's first birthday. And I'm like, dude, like, we're missing priorities here. You know what I mean? And just little things like that kind of make me like, dang. But for every guy like that, I know 10 guys who don't lose their values, right? Who make these decisions ahead of time and say, hey, here's the choices I'm going to make. Here's the important things, the not important things, like we talked about. In the heat of the moment, you're like, bro, kid's first birthday, she's not going to remember it. I can go make 10 bands today. Like, why don't I do that? It's never right. But it's like ahead of time knowing like, hey, what's more important than that is my family and my relationships. And I got to prioritize that, So, right. Anyway, I have a lot of thoughts. I don't know. Good.
No, I absolutely love that. Because I think it's so easy to like prioritize that's like the money and like your goals financially, but it's like all for what? So you can like be with your family. It's that one. I'm gonna butcher this 1000%, but there's this story, and it's like this guy who's on a beach like just lounging around in a guitar with a guitar. He's homeless dude, and the guy comes up to him and it's like hey, we're gonna start this company so we can make a ton of money. And he's like, okay, like, and then what? And then we're gonna sell that company, and then we're gonna go make another one. And he's like, okay, cool. And then what do we do? And then we're gonna like keep doing it and keep doing it. And then once we sell all these companies, we can just lounge on the beach and hang out. It's like, well, that's like what he's doing right then. You know what I mean? And so it's like all your goals, like for what is it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like to be with your family, to provide for them, like that's the point. And some people it's easy to get that lost.
Yeah.
I mean,
And so I like your goal setting example, helps you not get lost along the way. How would you define success then, Cutler? Everyone has a different definition of it. What do you think? And it could be a working definition. We're young. It might change as we grow.
yeah,
What would you define success as right now?
I heard this thing by Earl Nightingale, and I'm going to butcher it as well, but it's the progressive realization towards a worthy ideal or a worthy goal. And so I think whatever it is you want to do, as long as it's really predetermined and set out, this is what I want to do, and then you're actively doing that. So if this dude at the gas station is like, I want to own this gas station and this is what I want to do, if he's killing it owning that gas station, I think he's successful. A teacher who's making $30,000 a year, if she loves teaching, she wants to be the absolute best teacher. I think if she has that goal very predetermined and set out, very conscious, and she's working towards that, I think that's successful.
I love that, dude. That's fantastic. So if that's your definition of, success, and I really like that. I've heard that definition before. What was his name? Earl something? It's Earl Nightingale. Also, I've never heard. I'll have to look him up. That's it. What about happiness? What does happiness mean to you?
Oh, that's tough. I feel like I'm going to think about this one. I think for I think a lot of times I get like if someone were to ask me like, "Are you happy?" I'd be like I don't know, I haven't thought about it in a while. You know what I mean? I feel like I get so like caught up in the day to day. Okay, I need to do this. Like I don't have the time to think like, oh, am I sad or am I happy? You know what I mean? I feel like I do get a lot of joy out of knowing that that whole day, like I did what I said I was going to do. I think that's probably the biggest thing that gives me happiness and joy is saying, okay, I'm going to do this, finish these things, and then being a man of my word and like doing that, even if it's just like, I mean, it's usually always to myself. But if I have a list of all like a bunch of habits that I want to do every single day, when I get to the end of the day and there's like three things that I just like didn't even think about, then like I could have done a ton of crazy accomplishing dreams that day. But just those three things that I said I was going to do and didn't, like that eats away at me. I don't know.
Interesting. I'm gonna rewrite this question now based on that answer. And I feel like, yeah, it's like, how do you experience happiness? How do you feel happiness? And that's what you answered. And I like that. It's really interesting. No, hopefully it was good. That's fantastic. And so, you talked about how you've been networking and learning and growing and stuff a lot lately. What's a piece of advice you've received recently that's really stuck with you?
I would probably say the biggest piece of advice that's helped me so much is your network is your net worth. And at first I heard like network. It was just like this businessy like term, you know what I mean? And I didn't really like it. It's kind of the same like entrepreneur, you know what I mean? But meeting a ton of people, especially through LinkedIn, through iHub, through all these resources, like I'm still really just barely starting this path, but I would be light years behind if it weren't for these people that have helped me along the way. That kind of like guided me. Oh, I would do this, like don't do that, meet this person. And just all these opportunities I have in my life right now are from people that I've met or networked with, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. The word network, I think of it only in business terms, but it's also like it's relationships, Maybe it's a good way to say is
Yeah,
relationships are your network. That's cool.
exactly.
Who in your life has inspired you the most and why?
Hmm. Probably Corbin Church.
Okay.
He, I should say something like my dad or something, but Corbin Church is probably one of the most inspiring guys I've met. Just you get around him, you just feel this energy that he genuinely cares about you and what you're doing. And the goals he's accomplished, the things he does is kind of all aligns with what I want to do as well. And he's accomplished so much, like started all these companies, founded iHub, all these crazy resources, but he still puts so much of his time into giving back. And so I think someone like that's kind of like I said, exactly the route I want to go down. So yeah, that's probably the person I would say.
Well, that's good. It's someone who's done what you want to do. That's who has to be your role model. So,
Right, exactly.
so tell me, all these books you're reading, all these people you've met, and all that. If you had one single one-liner that really stuck out to you, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, it was probably when I was in high school and we had these like 7 hour long practices. And for like a week straight, it was like 7 hour practices. It was lifting, running, film, lifting, running. It was just,
What sport was this?
this was football. Nice. Sorry.
Let's get what you play.
I played defensive end. All right. Kind of a small guy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
But I remember I was like, holy, like this just sucks. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I remember my coach, like after just one of the worst practices was like, everything you want in life is on the other side of hard. And that just like slapped me across the face because I also feel like the harder something is, the bigger the barrier to entry. And so I think the harder it is, the more opportunity there is because the less people actually go into it, the less people have success, less competition. And so everything that I want in life, like everything, the goals, like the harder it is, that just means kind of the bigger the reward. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so that's something that's really stuck with me for a while.
That's fantastic, man. How about, to get to where you are with this product, that you're working with a lot right now? I'm sure there's been tons of failures along the way, hard you had to go through to get there. Tell us about some of that and what the path was like for you to get to where you're at.
Yeah, so I'm still probably on that path.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm in the middle of one right now. Another one will come quick, but I would say when I first said, okay, I want to start a business, there's so many ones that I tried and just didn't work out. Like, as soon as I started, I went down to Arizona, me and my buddy, and we just started knocking doors to get people on an AC subscription to like fix their AC and do maintenance, which is actually, I think, a real need. And we got like 12 sales. Like 12 people said, yeah, well, I'd do that. And like we signed them up and they said, and like they paid us or whatever. But we're like, wait, don't pay us it. Because we're just trying to figure out if it worked.
Yeah.
Go back to Corbin, one of my mentors, and he was like, dude, you could do that, but like, this isn't gonna blow up. Like you could make like an exit of like 6 million, get paid like 500,000 a year, but like you should do something bigger. I was like, dang it. So I go and I find this app that was so useful. I don't know if you ever heard of Univent.
Nope.
This guy from the it's funny. I think his name is I can't remember his name. He's Nephi from the Book of Mormon videos.
Oh yeah, cool.
Jackson.
I don't know his name, but I know him. Yeah.
But he made this app Univect, and it helps like put all your classes into one place. So you know, like, okay, I have all your class homework assignments in one place. Sick. So like from Canva and Lightning Suite, puts all in one place. And I was like, oh, this is so useful. I called the guy. I called the number on it. It was like, if need help, call this number. I called it just because I wanted to like see who was behind this.
Yeah.
And he was talking. I was like going back and forth with him. I was like, dude, would you ever like think of selling this? He's like, yeah, dude, do you want it? I was like, yeah. And so we go back and forth between like terms and everything and a price. And I'm about to buy it, but I do a bunch of research trying to get this. I would have to get it integrated with BYU system.
Yeah.
And I went there and the lady was just like, no, definitely not happening. It's like, dang it. And so I did so much validation for that, talking to so many people. Didn't work out. And then finally I was like, okay, like this next one is working for sure, you know what I'm saying? And it was these caffeinated suckers. And it was these guys that had them. And they were like, hey, we just need somebody to like fund this because I just got done with summer sales. Like, hey, like get this funding for us and then you can be a partner and have equity. I'm like, sick. So I go to Vasa and I'm just like having people like give me feedback about these protein or caffeinated suckers. And it's like going good. I'm just doing so much research on it for like months. And we're about to like get this thing going and launched. And then right before they were like, so it turns out we actually don't need you. And like we found a manufacturer that can like do a lot lower price. And I was like,
shoot, like you weren't in on paper yet.
No, I was not. I was tough. And so lesson learned. And I was like, wow, that totally sucks. And then finally, Corbin came to me and with this idea, just like a silver platter.
Yeah.
Came to me after I was like fighting, trying to find these things. And maybe this one will fail as well. Wouldn't be surprised. But I'm going to put every ounce of effort in before it does, you know what I'm saying?
That's awesome, yeah. I'm sure you've learned a lot of lessons through this experience, through all of this trial and error, through all these failures. What are some of your biggest takeaways you've taken from all this?
Oh, I feel like, there's so many things. One of the biggest things I've realized is Alex Hormozi says this. He says, you cannot fail if you do not quit. And so I'm like, as long as I do this for enough time and do this for like enough volume, enough times, that I'm gonna figure out something. You know what I mean? Like he says you have to do enough volume, enough times, and so much of something that it would be unreasonable to suck.
I see.
And so as long as every single time I'm doing this, I'm learning, then I'm gonna figure out something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like that's everything in life. Like, as long as you have that predetermined goal, like, as long as you do that enough times, enough volume, like, you're gonna figure it out sooner or later. It's just like whether you stick with that thing. You know what I'm saying?
That's fantastic, man. I love that.
I feel like that's the biggest thing.
So have you always wanted to be an entrepreneur? I mean, I heard that you even had a sales job back in high school. So I don't know. What was that job? And has this always been something you wanted? When did you decide you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
Let's think. I feel like it's been since I was in high school. I'd seen my brother, he started a company, sister started a company, my other brothers kind of doing a company like with real estate, and just seeing kind of their life compared to my mom and dad's life, who are just professors, and just their freedom against theirs, their money against theirs. I'm like, this is like, definitely don't want to go down this route. You know what I mean? And so just seeing all the benefits of that, I was like, this is definitely what I want to do. And so that's kind of where it all started from the beginning. I feel like
That's awesome. Okay.
yeah,
And here you are. I love that.
yeah, exactly.
What is one thing you wish people knew about you? You don't always get to express the deepest feelings of your heart to every person you meet. So what's one thing you wish people would know?
Wow, that's tough. I would say people see the long hair, see the Tesla. I tell them I did sales. And they're like, definite douchebag. You know what I'm saying? But I'd be like, I'm actually a nice guy. You know what I'm saying? No, but I
That also goes back to your old judgment thing from earlier. One of Utah's weaknesses, right? What's that judge? Right. So yeah.
I mean, it's not a huge big deal. I actually don't really care, but I feel like a lot of people do kind of like see all that and then throw up quick, clear judgments.
Sure.
But no, I'd say that's probably one of the biggest ones.
To where you look past all of these basic things that you think mean something else. I love that.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's cool. Oh. So you mentioned it a little bit. How has faith or belief in a higher power impacted your life?
Oh man, that is a really good question. I feel like just following faith and following just the simple do's and don'ts compared to the times of my life when I haven't, I feel like there's been a huge difference in my life. Not only in my life, but kind of the life I've seen of other people. For example, my mom's side of the family, they're all super, super like active, baptized. They're very like set in their principles. And I go around and you just feel this different like happiness, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And you can just feel this, like they're just this genuine positivity, their life's going good. And then my dad's side of the family, he's a convert. And none of them are baptized, none of them like go to church. And it's just this totally different feeling. Like divorces, financial problems, just all these different things. And you can genuinely feel like a difference in happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, I feel like this is like more personal, but to me personally, I can't like say 1000%, oh, the church is true. You know what I mean? Like people say, I get up and say like, I know, like without a doubt, like I feel like I can't say that. And for a while that bugged me. I was like, why? Like I went on a mission, like I dedicated 2 years of my life to this. Like, why can people just have that exact certainty? Like without a doubt, this is 100% true. I just never feel that. And I asked just so many people and my bishop, just different than my mission president. And a lot of them kind of said the same thing. They were like, that's part of faith, is having that slight uncertainty. Like if you knew for a fact it was true, then there wouldn't be faith. And so I think it's that hope that it is true. And so I feel like just those two things of seeing people's lives with the church, without the church, that, and then I'm gonna ramble here for a sec. Please, just that, and then also the fact of like, even if it's not true, and I follow down this route, like I genuinely think I'm gonna be happier and gonna have a better life than if it wasn't true. or than if I didn't follow it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I feel like even if just being here, whether it's true or not, I feel like it's gonna put me on a better path. And then also, like, even if there's like a 3%, like even if you were so unsure, like there's just a small chance that it's true. Like, do you really want to risk that for eternity? Like, we're here for what, 80, however many years?
Yeah.
But just to risk that and spend eternity, millions of plus years just because you were unsure, like I don't want to take that chance.
That's an interesting perspective. I haven't thought of it before, yeah.
And so just those two aspects of I'm gonna be happier either way here following the church and following God. And I look, you don't want to risk that. Like those are just I look at the church very logically more than I should.
Yeah, no,
But that helps me a lot. And so
I love that. No, yeah. Fantastic cost benefit analysis for you. It's great. That's a really cool. I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing that, man.
yeah, for sure. I'll take a couple more.
So, in your experience, what are some things that you are most grateful for in your life that you think other people might take for granted?
I feel like genuinely I'm so extremely lucky in so many ways. And I think the biggest one is how I grew up. And I think my parents, like my family, they were all grew me up in a way to be very independent and just working like on a farm all growing up, like having to pay for everything, having to just do a lot of that stuff independently. I feel like now that's helped me out a lot. And so growing up, my parents were just so awesome. And my siblings are so awesome. Like I'd never say that to their face.
Yeah.
Because then they'd like be like, "Why are you being soft? Don't say that to me." But no, that my siblings, just because I am the youngest out of all of them, absolutely love being youngest. Like I could not be the oldest. Just because seeing my older sisters, my older brothers, like the different paths they went on, and like, okay, yeah, that was a stupid decision. Definitely want to do that, or okay, that's interesting. Being able to see all that and then make my own decisions, that's helped me so much.
That's awesome, man. That's powerful. And yeah, I think that's something that you can't appreciate until you've grown up, right? You can't appreciate the way you're raised while you're being raised. Right. It's only after you can look back and be like, wow, like, I've met a lot of people, I've seen a lot of things, and I realize now that the way I grew up was so fortunate. I'm in the same boat, dude. There's like, I never knew until I grew up and met people and seen more of the world. And I'm like, wow, like, I was just born in this family. I didn't do anything to deserve that. Yeah, I don't know why I'm in this position, but I know I'm here, and it would be an absolute waste if I had such a favorable circumstance and didn't do something good with my life. You know what I mean? So it's also like motivating for me to like look back at my childhood like that. So that's cool. Like you had the same perspective.
Yeah, and I think it's so easy to like forget those things, like what you do have. Something that, again, Corbin told us to do in the class is like every single day before going to bed, write 3 things that you're grateful for. And I was like, oh, it seems pretty stupid, but he was like, promise me you'll do it. And we're like, okay. Every single night, now I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for. I have a list of like I think it's like 300 something right now. And it sounds so simple and so dumb, but it genuinely has made such a difference. Like just doing that, look in and thinking about those things, even after the worst day, I'm like, dang, like I really do have it good. You know what I mean? And just that constant positivity, that constant, wow, I really am in a good position. It's actually changed so much for me.
And that's so important too in entrepreneurship. I feel like when you're chasing greatness and when you're never at your goals, you're never at the position you want to be. And so if you don't take time to appreciate and be grateful for things, you will just always feel like you're not enough. You'll always feel behind. You'll always feel down on yourself. And I've experienced that before too, without taking time to be grateful for, dude, like my life is fantastic and I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
Like you just don't, if you don't take the time to think like that, you're not going to be happy. But yeah, so I love that you shared that, dude.
No, dude, that's awesome. Cause yeah, I feel like it's so easy to get like hung up on those outputs and just like, oh, like this result, I gotta get this goal, which is like good, like you have to have goals, but just like losing sight of like the inputs and just those like, this is what I'm grateful for. That's yeah, it makes a big difference.
I need to journal more, dude. Like I know it. Thing is, like doing this podcast has given me chances to reflect and have these conversations and have that gratitude. But like I've heard how important and good journaling is for you, and I just never do it, dude. So I was actually thinking today, I don't know why, I was thinking about it a lot as I'm like, dude, I need to get into journaling. Like it's been like months. I need to journal. And then you brought it up today. So this is your
It sounds
sign.
like your answer.
Yes, dude. It's your sign. Anybody else out there, this is your sign. You just gotta journal, bro. You just gotta do it. This is to another podcast today, and this guy was like, yeah, that's how I, help forgive people more is I just journal my feelings and I write them all down and I can, I don't know, helps me to forget people. And so yeah, I've just heard about journaling so much today, dude. So I think it's gonna happen. It's just awesome, bro.
Well, no, because I literally hated journaling for the longest time, but in my patriarchal blessing, it's like you will journal, and so I'm like, can't, you know what I mean? And so I journal like every single week, but I feel like it has made a huge difference.
Okay.
And like I'll like read stuff and stories, and I'm like, oh, wow, like I can't believe I was like was here and now I'm here, and it's pretty cool. Like yeah,
That's the big thing for me also is like I look back and think about the way I saw the world and just like the lens through which I viewed the world and thought about things, how much it's changed. Yeah. Big thing for me is New Year's. Every New Year's, I'm like, where was I last New Year's Eve? Like, where did I do the countdown? And I'm like, wow, like I was so different back then. Like the way I thought about things, the way I saw the world, man, I did so many stupid things between then and now. And so I think another great thing about journaling is you can appreciate how much you've grown as a person.
right.
So no, that's absolutely true. It's fantastic, man. So Cutler, what is one general piece of advice that you would give to all the people in your life?
Oh, that's a good question. I recently heard this quote. I'm gonna butcher it, but it goes, between stimulus and response, there's a space. And so something happens to us, our response, there's a space. And in that space lies our freedom and power to choose our response. And in our response determines our growth and happiness. And I absolutely love that because just in life, there's so many things that you can't control. There's so many things that are happening to us. And the only thing we can control is that response. And in that response, just to think what is the best way to respond to this? Like, how can I get past this in the most productive way possible? I feel like that puts you light years ahead of other people. Because I feel like there's so many stories of all the people that are up here and that have made it, have done whatever it is with some big accomplishment. They've had so many of those times when that response could have gone either way. You know what I mean? I remember this story, and it was, Thomas Edison. He obviously one of the most successful guys in the world. And he was building his company and doing everything and was starting to make traction. And then all of a sudden, this huge building that he had invested everything in was burned to the ground. And it was just this huge fire going up in flames. And he runs to, I don't know who it was, like some people or his daughter or something. It was like, hey, like, go get your mom. Like, tell her that this is the biggest, coolest fire you're going to see in your life. And like, you wouldn't think of that yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's basically like, this is what happened. Choose your response. And it was after that moment that he went on to make the light bulb. So like he could have gone either way. And there's so many times in our life where something happens and it's like, here's the fork in the road, like choose which one. And it's so hard because you don't know what's on the end of that road. You just have to say, okay, think this is the best route, making that best educated guess to bounce back from that hard stimuli, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that is fantastic advice. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So to date, what do you think has been your biggest accomplishment? And what do you hope to accomplish in your life?
Oh, that is a good question. I think to date, my biggest accomplishment, if I had to like write out a resume, it would probably be in sales. I was number 2 in the company this last year doing summer solar sales. And I think I did like 4.5 million in revenue and then 153,000 paid out in commissions. And that was the first time I was like, hey, like that's like I actually like set out this was the goal and then did that post mission. And so that was something that was really big for me that I would say was probably one of my biggest accomplishments.
I love that.
Yeah. And then you said something else.
Yeah, that's what you've done today. What do you hope to accomplish in your life? It's a pretty broad question, but
Yeah, what do I hope to accomplish in my life? I feel like the number one thing I want to do for like the last 2 years, I set this goal is to get to 100 million in net worth. Like people hear that like that's like a shallow goal as a person, but that's one of my goals. And somebody asked me like, why do you even want to do that? And when they asked me that, I was like, I don't know. And so then I like went back. I was like, yeah, that's stupid. Like I need like a bigger why than just that. And my biggest why I feel like is kind of like I said before. Like I had just so many people help me and get to where I am and mentor me, give me advice. It's just brought me light years ahead than I should be. And that's what I want to do is get back to them or is get back to people in my spot. Like I can't do that unless I've done it myself, obviously.
sure.
And so I think that's like would be the most satisfying, biggest value providing thing I could do. And so I want to get to 100 million. That's kind of where I could say, okay, like I know what I'm doing, know what I'm talking about, and then help people that are in my position right now. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and at that level, I mean, you have a much greater impact. There's a lot more good you can do in the world, right? More at type of if you hit that level. So that's fantastic, man. I love that.
Yeah, because I think like money is a magnifier.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like if you're bad, that money is going to, this is what I heard.
Amplify your bad.
Like, yeah, exactly. I heard this from Casey Ba. Like if you're bad, then that money is just going to make you more of a bad person. If you're good, then you can use that for good and it's going to make you that much of a better person. Because it's like, it always says, build the kingdom of God. You know what I'm saying? And what bigger way to, like, you can't do that. But it depends how you do that. But
Right.
it's hard to do that if you don't have resources. And so I feel like that's, once you get there, you have all that resource for good, you can have such a big impact.
Love that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Last thing is, what impact do you want to leave on others before you die someday?
I feel like the biggest impact I want to leave is that if you set a goal, like the only thing that stops you from accomplishing that is you and that a growth mindset. Like for me, a growth mindset, like that's such like a term that's like thrown around. It's kind of like, okay, big guy, you know what I mean? But having a growth mindset, I feel like solves 95% of problems. If you can say, okay, I don't know how to do that, and then have the mindset of, but I know I can figure it out, then I feel like whatever goal you have, like you're gonna be able to figure it out. And so, because there's so many things going through this process, I'm like, I have no idea how to do that.
Yeah.
But having a growth mindset to say, I'll be able to figure it out, whether it's like talk to somebody, look it up on YouTube, whatever it is, or just trying and failing. I feel like that's something I hope that people can feel is like you literally can do whatever you want as long as you have that growth mindset to say, okay, I can for sure figure it out. That makes sense.
Yeah. That's fantastic, man. I appreciate that. Well, thanks for being on the show, man. And thanks for being a person of Utah.
Absolutely. It's been a good time.
Yeah. Well, we're glad to have you. You can stay in Utah as long as you like, man.
All right. Okay. Well, I like it here.
Good, man. All right. Good time. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yep. Take it easy. He is awesome.